Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I invite you into a realm that is not noisy, not crowded, not frantic, but profoundly silent. In that silence there lies the seed of transformation, the key to all creation and the hidden power that shapes every circumstance of your life. Silence is not emptiness, silence is fullness. Silence is not absence. Silence is presence. In the stillness of your being, the real truth reveals itself. This journey we embark on is not about running faster, shouting louder, or chasing harder. It is about quieting the mind, aligning with your inner vision, and allowing that silence to mold your reality. Let us walk together through 10 steps that uncover the truth and power of being silent. Silence is creation's womb. My friends, tonight I invite you to truly grasp the living truth of silence. For silence is not absence, it is presence. It is not emptiness, it is fullness. It is not a void, it is the womb of all creation. Think for a moment about the beginning of all things. Before any sound was uttered, before any movement was seen, before any form appeared, there was silence. And out of that silence, everything came forth. This silence is not dead. It is alive. It is pregnant with possibility. It holds within itself the seeds of every dream, every invention, every transformation that will ever take place in your life. You may believe that creation begins when you speak, when you act, when you struggle, but the real beginning is always in silence. The great truths of life are simple, and this one is among the greatest. Silence is creation's womb. In your moments of silence, you step into that sacred womb where imagination conceives reality. Every masterpiece, every invention, every revolution of thought began with one person, sitting in silence, listening to the stirrings of an inner vision. Let us look at your own life. Has it not been in your quietest moments when you were alone, away from noise, away from distraction, that the clearest ideas, the most vivid images, the most powerful inspirations have come to you? It was not when you shouted or ran about frantically. It was not when you were drowning in the clamor of voices around you. No, it was when you turned inward, when you rested in silence, when you allowed stillness to surround you, that creation began to move. Silence is not passive. It is not weak. It is the very source of strength. In the silence, you are communing with the infinite. In the silence, you are aligning yourself with the very law that governs life. In the silence, you are becoming one with the act of creation itself. Now, many people are uncomfortable with silence. They fear it. They fill their lives with noise, constant talking, endless distractions, ceaseless activity, because they are afraid of what silence might reveal. But the truth is, silence reveals only your power. Silence reveals only your creative capacity. Silence reveals only that you are more than flesh and bone. You are imagination, consciousness, and spirit. When you embrace silence, you place yourself at the very center of creation. For in that silence, you can form in your mind the picture of what you desire to be, do, or have. You can clothe yourself with the feeling of its reality. You can nurture it in the womb of your imagination. And like all things conceived in the womb, in time, it will take form in the outer world. Let me emphasize this truth. The silence within you is not an escape from life. It is the workshop of life. It is where the blueprint of your tomorrow is drawn. Every great achievement was first silently imagined, silently felt, silently assumed, before it ever appeared before the eyes of the world. So when I say silence is creation's womb, I am not speaking of mere quiet. I am speaking of that sacred space within you where imagination and faith unite, where desire and conviction become one, where the unseen becomes more real than the seen. That silence is the foundation of all manifestation. Think of the seed planted in the earth. The seed does not shout. It does not struggle. It does not clamor for attention. In silence beneath the soil it germinates. In silence it gathers strength. In silence it begins to unfold its destiny. And in time it pushes through the soil, rises into the light, and becomes the tree. But the true miracle happened in silence. So it is with you. Whatever you desire, whatever you long to express, whatever you seek to bring forth, it must first be conceived in silence. If you will allow yourself the courage to be still, if you will trust the creative power of silence, you will find that all things are possible to you. Some may say, but silence feels empty. I tell you, silence is not empty. It is full of infinite possibility, full of unformed realities waiting for you to give them shape, full of treasures waiting to be claimed. Others may say, but I cannot sit in silence. My mind wanders. And I say, let it wander at first, for even wandering is a journey inward. But with practice the wandering slows. the restless thoughts subside, and you begin to hear the deeper voice, the inner whisper, the silent assurance that says, it is done. And when you hear that voice in the silence, you can rise with confidence, knowing that creation has already begun within you. For silence is not waiting, it is creating. Silence is not delaying, it is preparing. Silence is not withholding, it is gestating, forming, shaping, until the appointed hour when the invisible becomes visible. Do you see the power of this? Do you feel the depth of it? To enter silence is to step into the very workshop of God, the very center of creation, the very womb where the worlds are born. And so I tell you tonight, if you wish to change your life, if you wish to shape your destiny, if you wish to create a new reality, do not first run to action. Do not first seek the approval of others. Do not first fill your days with noise. Instead, go into the silence. Sit with your desire. Picture it. Feel it. Clothe yourself with its reality. And in that silence it will be conceived. In time, you will watch your circumstances rearrange themselves. You will see opportunities appear. You will find people drawn to you, resources coming into your hands, doors opening where there were no doors before. And you will know that all of it began, not in your words, not in your actions, but in your silence. For silence is creation's womb. So let us not despise silence. Let us not run from it. Let us embrace it as the holy ground of creation. Let us enter it daily, faithfully, joyfully, and let us emerge from it renewed, empowered, and assured that all things are possible. When you honor silence, you honor the creative power within you. When you rest in silence, you awaken to the truth that your imagination is the womb of all reality. And when you live from that silence, you walk as the master of your fate, the creator of your world, the author of your destiny. This is the real truth of silence. It is not empty, it is alive. It is not void, it is full. It is not weakness, it is strength. It is the womb of creation, and within it all things are made new. See, silence clears the fog of confusion. My friends, let us now journey deeper into the truth of silence. For silence not only creates, it also clarifies. Silence not only gives birth to life, it clears away the fog that blinds us to the path we must walk. You know this fog well. It is the fog of doubt, the fog of worry, the fog of conflicting voices and opinions that crowd your mind every day. You hear one thing from one person, another thing from someone else. You feel one desire pulling you in one direction and another desire pulling you the opposite way. You are torn, uncertain, restless. The world is full of noise, and that noise breeds confusion. And in confusion you hesitate. In confusion you waver. In confusion you lose strength. For when the mind is clouded, the will cannot act. When the vision is blurred, the feet cannot move with confidence. Confusion paralyzes more dreams than failure ever could. But here lies the secret. Silence clears the fog. Silence reveals the straight path when every road seems crooked. Silence lifts the veil, allowing you to see with clarity and act with purpose. Think of a lake on a windy day. The water is stirred, restless, broken into 1,000 ripples. You look into it, but you cannot see your reflection. It is distorted, unclear. But when the wind ceases, when calmness returns, the water becomes still. And suddenly, it is like a mirror. You see your face clearly. You see every detail perfectly. So it is with your mind. When filled with the winds of worry, the storms of fear, the noise of the world, your inner waters are disturbed. You cannot see the truth. You cannot hear the whisper of guidance. But when you enter silence, the waters calm. And there, in that stillness, clarity returns. You know what to do. You know where to go. You know what choice to make. How many of you have struggled with decisions? How many times have you said, I do not know what to do? You weighed the options, you listened to advice, you sought counsel from others, yet still you were uncertain. And then, perhaps in the quiet of the night, perhaps in the stillness of solitude, the answer came, not with noise, not with thunder, but with quiet certainty. That is the power of silence clearing the fog. Confusion is not your natural state. Clarity is, but clarity cannot be forced by restless thought. Clarity comes when the restless mind is quieted. And that quietness, is found in silence. Let me tell you, the world will always offer you noise. Every voice around you will attempt to shape your thoughts, influence your feelings, sway your decisions. If you lean only on those voices, you will remain in confusion because no two voices agree. But in silence, you find the one voice that never contradicts itself. The voice of your inner knowing. That inner knowing is always certain. It never wavers, never hesitates, never doubts. It speaks in whispers, not shouts. It is drowned out by noise but amplified in silence. And when you hear it, you know with assurance, this is the way, walk in it. Now I must tell you this, confusion is not destroyed by more information. Many people believe if they gather more facts, read more opinions, listen to more teachers, they will dissolve their confusion. But more information often increases the fog. For one fact leads to another, one opinion collides with another, and you are left more uncertain than before. The solution is not more noise, the solution is silence. For in silence, you no longer seek outward guidance, you allow inward guidance to rise. You no longer chase answers, you receive them. You no longer scramble through 1,000 possibilities. You perceive the one clear truth that resonates with it. And when clarity comes, it does not come as a guess. It comes as a knowing. It comes as certainty. It comes as peace. You do not need to force yourself to believe it. You simply know, and that knowing cuts through confusion like light piercing the fog. Consider the pilot flying through a dense fog. The ground below is hidden. The horizon is invisible. Yet the pilot does not panic. For within the cockpit are instruments designed to pierce the fog. By trusting those instruments, the pilot navigates safely, no matter how thick the mist outside. So too, when you dwell in silence, you are trusting the instruments of your inner being. The outer world may be clouded, the path may seem hidden, but the silence within will guide you with unfailing accuracy. It will not lead you astray. Now some of you may ask, how do I enter this silence when the world is so noisy? And I tell you, silence does not always mean the absence of sound. You may live in a noisy city. You may have responsibilities and demands around you. But true silence is not outside. It is within. You can close your eyes, take a breath, and turn inward. And in that inward turning, you step into silence. At first, the chatter of your mind will follow you. It will speak of fears, of problems, of doubts. But if you remain, if you persist, you will find the chatter grows weaker. And beneath it you will hear the silence. You will feel it. It is not empty. It is alive. And in that aliveness, clarity will come. When clarity comes, you will not hesitate. You will not doubt. You will act. And your action will carry power. Because it is not born of confusion but of conviction. That conviction is the gift of silence. So I say to you, whenever you feel lost, whenever you feel torn, whenever you feel uncertain, do not run to the noise. Do not seek to drown your confusion in more activity. Do not fill your mind with endless opinions. Instead, seek silence. Rest in it. Trust it. Allow it to do its work. For silence is the great clarifier. Silence clears the fog, and as the fog lifts, you will see that the path has always been there waiting for you. You will realize that the answer was within you all along, waiting only for the silence to make it known. You will understand that the confusion was never permanent. It was only the temporary cloud that silence was destined to dissolve. This, my friends, is the truth. When you enter silence, you enter clarity. When you embrace silence, you walk in certainty. When you trust silence, you are never lost. For silence is the great light that clears away the fog of confusion and reveals the truth that has been within you all along. Silence strengthens the imagination. My friends, let us step deeper into the mystery of silence. For silence is not only creation's womb, not only the clarifier of confusion, but also the fountain that strengthens the imagination. Imagination is the greatest power you possess. It is the very faculty that shapes your world. Every invention, every work of art, every discovery of science, every change in history, each was first born in the imagination of one who dared to believe. And yet imagination, though powerful, is fragile. in the midst of noise. The constant chatter of the outer world weakens it, scatters it, distracts it. But when you step into silence, imagination grows strong. Why is this so? Because silence removes the competing voices. Silence removes the doubts that come from the opinions of others. Silence removes the distractions that fragment your attention. In silence, imagination has room to breathe, to expand, to create vividly and without interruption. Consider the painter. Before the brush ever touches the canvas, he must first see the picture in his mind. But if the room is filled with noise and movement, the image flickers and fades. It is only when he retreats into stillness that the image sharpens, colors brighten, shapes form clearly, and the painting begins to live within him. Only then can it be brought forth into the world. So it is with you. Your life is your canvas, and your imagination is the brush. Yet if your mind is restless, if your environment is filled with noise, your imagination cannot hold its image steadily. It wavers, it weakens. But when you enter silence, imagination takes on strength. The image becomes solid, real, undeniable. And what you hold firmly in imagination will soon be reflected in your world. The truth is, imagination is not strengthened by force. It is strengthened by stillness. When you force imagination, you strain, you doubt, you rest. But when you sit in silence, the image comes naturally. It flows. It rises from within you without struggle. You do not chase it. You allow it. And in that allowing, it becomes strong. Think of the seed again. The seed does not force itself to grow. It rests in the dark silence of the soil. And in that silence, its hidden life awakens. So too, your imagination does not flourish in noise, but in silence. In silence, the seed of your vision awakens, expands, and grows roots deep enough to withstand any storm. When you enter silence and imagine, you are not pretending. You are not engaging in fantasy. You are touching the unseen reality that is more powerful than anything visible. For everything visible today was once invisible in imagination. The house you live in was once a silent thought in the mind of an architect. The book you read was once a silent picture in the mind of a writer. The bridge you cross was once a silent vision in the mind of an engineer. Imagination strengthened in silence is the source of all that exists. Now, hear me well. The images you form in silence are not idle pictures. They are living realities in seed form. Just as the oak tree is contained within the acorn, so your fulfilled desire is contained within the image you hold in imagination. And when that image is nourished in silence, felt, believed, sustained, it must unfold into form. But what weakens imagination? It is the restless movement of mind that listens to the world rather than the inner voice. It is the doubt that says, this is only make-believe. It is the noise that insists reality is fixed and cannot be changed. All these dissolve the moment you enter silence, for in silence, there is no competing voice. In silence, imagination reigns supreme. In silence, you are free to picture the highest, the noblest, the most beautiful vision of yourself and your life, and to feel it as though it were already true. And that feeling is the secret, for imagination without feeling is shadow, but imagination with feeling strengthened in silence is substance. In silence, when you not only see but feel the reality of your desire, you plant it deeply within the subconscious, where it begins its invisible work of shaping circumstances, drawing opportunities, and rearranging the world to match your inner vision. Let us make this practical. Tonight, when you are alone, close your eyes, enter silence, and in that silence, picture yourself already living the life you desire. Do not force the image. Let it form gently. See it clearly. Hear the sounds of it. Touch it. Most importantly, feel it. Feel the joy of it, the peace of it, the satisfaction of it. Rest in that feeling as though it were the most natural thing in the world, for in truth it is. That silent imagining clothed in feeling is stronger than any effort you could make in the outer world. And the more you return to silence, the stronger your imagination becomes. Like a muscle exercised, imagination grows through repeated practice in stillness. At first the images may seem faint, the feelings weak, but as you persist, they become vivid, powerful, undeniable. And when your imagination is this strong, nothing can stop it from expressing itself outwardly. I tell you, silence is the gymnasium of imagination. It is the place where you train the inner eye, the inner ear, the inner senses, until they are more real to you than the outer sense. And when your inner senses are strengthened, the outer world must conform to them. For the outer is always the reflection of the inner. The world calls this dreaming. They may laugh, they may mock, they may say, you are lost in fantasy, but let them speak. For every dreamer in silence has shaped the world. What the world calls fantasy today, it calls reality tomorrow. And the bridge between the two is imagination strengthened in silence. So I urge you, do not despise silence. Do not run from it. Do not say, I must be busy. I must be active. I must be constantly moving. For busyness without vision is wasted effort. But silence with imagination is creative power. When you honor silence and exercise your imagination within it, you discover that you are not the victim of circumstances. You are their creator. You are not at the mercy of chance. You are the author of destiny. For what you vividly imagine in silence, you will one day live in reality. This is the truth. Silence strengthens the imagination, and imagination, strengthened in silence, is the power that shapes worlds. 4. Silence connects you to the infinite. My friends, tonight I want you to grasp one of the most profound truths of life. Silence is the bridge that connects you to the infinite. In the noise of the world, you see only fragments. In the silence within, you touch the whole. In the clamor of voices, you feel small, limited, confined. But in the stillness of silence, you discover that you are one with an infinite reality, unbounded, limitless, eternal. Let us reflect for a moment. What is the infinite? It is that which has no beginning and no end, no boundaries and no walls, no limits and no restrictions. It is life itself. It is power without measure. It is wisdom without end. It is love without condition. And though you may look at yourself and say, I am small, I am weak, I am just one among many, silence reveals a greater truth. Within you lies the infinite. Yet why do so few discover this? Because the noise of the world blinds them. They are distracted by appearances, by circumstances, by the ceaseless chatter of other minds. They live on the surface of life, tossed by every wave, blown by every wind. But the infinite is not found on the surface. It is found in the depths. And the only way to the depths is silence. Think of the ocean. On the surface there are storms, waves crashing, winds howling. But dive beneath, and soon you find stillness. And the deeper you go, the more silent it becomes, until you reach a place where the surface storm cannot touch you. So it is with life. On the surface there is noise, chaos, conflict. But when you dive into the silence within, you touch the infinite depth of your being, where there is peace, power, and certainty. In silence you are no longer separate. You are no longer cut off from the source of life. You are no longer a fragment. In silence you are whole. You are connected to the infinite wisdom that guides all things. You are connected to the infinite power that creates all things. You are connected to the infinite love that sustains all things. And in that connection, you realize the truth. The infinite is not outside you. It is within you. Now hear me well. The infinite does not shout. It does not demand. It does not force its way upon you. It whispers in silence. It reveals itself only when you are still enough to listen. That is why so many miss it. They are too busy, too distracted, too restless to hear the whisper of the infinite within them. But the moment you quiet yourself, the moment you enter silence, you feel it, you know it, you become aware of its presence, and this awareness changes everything. For when you are connected to the infinite, you no longer see limitations as final. You no longer see problems as permanent. You no longer see yourself as powerless. You realize that what seems impossible to man is possible to the infinite. And because the infinite is within you, that possibility is yours. Have you ever faced a problem that seemed insurmountable? You tried every method, every plan, every effort, and still no solution appeared. You became weary, discouraged, perhaps even hopeless. But then, in a moment of silence, when you released the struggle, when you stopped fighting and became still, an idea came. A solution arose. A way was opened. That idea, that inspiration, that sudden knowing was the infinite speaking to you in silence. This is why silence is so powerful. It removes the veil of separation. It dissolves the illusion of limitation. It reveals that you are not cut off from life's source, but deeply united with it. In silence you drink from the well of infinite wisdom, and you act with confidence. In silence you draw from the reservoir of infinite power, and you move with strength. In silence you touch the heart of infinite love, and you live with peace. But let me tell you, this connection is not reserved for saints, for sages, for the few. It is for you. It is for everyone. For the infinite does not belong to some and not to others. It is the essence of all. The only requirement is that you turn inward and embrace silence. For silence is the doorway. Silence is the bridge. Silence is the connection. The world will try to convince you otherwise. It will say you are weak. You are limited. You are bound by circumstances. But silence will whisper a different truth. It will say you are strong. You are free. You are connected to all that is. And when you choose which voice to believe, your life will reflect that choice. Believe the noise of the world, and you remain small. Believe the silence within, and you live as infinite. How do you practice this connection? It is simple. Set aside time each day to be silent, not to struggle, not to force, not to beg, but simply to be. Close your eyes, breathe, allow the outer world to fade, and in that stillness, become aware of the infinite presence within you. At first it may feel faint, but the more you practice, the stronger it becomes, until you know beyond doubt that you are never alone, never powerless, never cut off. And what happens when you live from this connection? You act with confidence, for you know wisdom guides you. You move with strength, for you know power supports you. You love without fear, for you know love sustains you. You live with peace, for you know you are one with the infinite. My friends, the infinite is not far away. It is not distant, unreachable, hidden in the heavens. It is here. It is now. It is within you. And the way you touch it, the way you experience it, the way you live in its reality, is through silence. So the next time you feel weak, enter silence, and you will feel the strength of the infinite rise in you. The next time you feel lost, enter silence, and you will hear the guidance of the infinite directing you. The next time you feel unloved, enter silence, and you will be embraced by the love of the infinite. And the next time you feel limited, enter silence, and you will discover that you are limitless, for you are one with the infinite itself. This is the truth. Silence connects you to the infinite, and in that connection, you are never the same. You rise above fear. You overcome doubt. You live in power, wisdom, and love. For in silence you discover the greatest secret of all, that the infinite is not something you must seek, but something you already are. 5. Silence is the language of power. My friends, tonight let us explore a truth so often overlooked. Silence is the language of power. The world has taught us to equate power with noise, with loud speeches, with aggressive actions, with constant display. People believe that if they shout the loudest, they will be heard. If they push the hardest, they will succeed. If they fill every moment with words and activity, they will prove their strength. But true power is not found in noise. True power is silent. Think of the mountain. It does not shout, yet it towers above all. Think of the sun. It does not argue, yet it sustains life itself. Think of the ocean. It does not boast, yet it carries a force that shapes continents. Silence is the very essence of their power. They need not announce themselves, for their presence speaks more loudly than any words. So it is with you. When you discover the strength of silence, you no longer need to prove yourself with noise. You no longer need to justify it, to argue, to defend. You know who you are, and that knowing radiates from you without sound. That is true power. The power that does not depend on noise, but on inner certainty. Why is silence the language of power? Because silence is unshakable. Words can be twisted, noise can be ignored, arguments can be resisted, but silence speaks directly to the soul. It carries an authority beyond explanation. It commands without force. It influences without pressure. It transforms without resistance. Consider a leader whose presence calms a room. He may speak little, but when he does, the words carry weight. Why? Because they arise from silence. They are not scattered, restless, or uncertain. They are focused, steady, and filled with conviction. His silence before he speaks is the source of his authority. In your own life, you may have felt this. When you sit in silence and imagine, when you silently assume the reality of your desire, you feel a shift. You feel a quiet strength rise within you. And when you carry that silence into the world, others feel it too. They may not know why, but they sense it. They are moved by it. That is the silent language of power at work. Noise is often a disguise for weakness. The insecure shout to be heard. The uncertain argue endlessly to prove their point. The fearful fill the air with words because they are afraid of stillness. But the strong have no need for this. The strong are silent, For their power does not depend on convincing others. It depends on the truth they carry within themselves. When you embrace silence, you step into that same strength. You no longer waste energy on needless arguments. You no longer feel the need to explain yourself to everyone. You no longer chase approval or validation. In silence, you know your worth. In silence, you know your vision. In silence, you know your power, and that knowing speaks louder than any noise ever could. Let us make this practical. Imagine you desire a new life. You could talk endlessly about it. You could try to persuade others. You could argue with yourself, debating whether it is possible, and yet none of this brings it closer. But if you withdraw into silence, if you see yourself already living that life, if you feel it in the quiet of your being, then without a word something begins to change. The silent language of power begins to move circumstances, to draw people, to open doors. This is why silence is stronger than noise. Noise scatters energy outward. Silence gathers energy inward, and gathered energy is power. Think of lightning. A storm rumbles with noise, but the true force is not in the thunder. It is in the silent flash of lightning that strikes with precision and power. So too your words and actions gain power only when they are born from the silence within you. Without silence they are empty noise. With silence they are lightning. You may ask, does this mean I should never speak, never act? No, my friends. Speech and action have their place, but let them rise from silence, not from restlessness. Let them carry the weight of stillness, not the weakness of noise. Then when you speak, your words will carry power. When you act, your actions will bear fruit. When you move, the world will move with you. This is the great secret. Silence is not inactivity. It is concentrated activity. It is energy focused, not dispersed. It is strength contained, not wasted. And when it is released, whether through a word, an action, or even a presence, it changes everything. Have you ever entered a room where someone said nothing, yet their presence was undeniable? That is the silent language of power. Have you ever listened to someone speak few words, yet those words stayed with you long after? That is the silent language of power. Have you ever felt peace and certainty in the presence of one who does not need to prove themselves? That is the silent language of power. And this power is not reserved for a few. It is available to you. It is already within you. You need only to enter silence, to rest in it, to let it strengthen you. For silence is not emptiness. It is fullness. It is not weakness. It is power. The world will always try to lure you into noise. It will say, shout louder, prove yourself, argue until you win. But if you fall into that trap, you scatter your energy, you waste your power. Instead, step back into silence. Let your strength be inward. Let your authority be silent. Let your power be unseen until the moment it is expressed. Then when you do speak, when you do act, the world will listen. For the world cannot resist the language of silence. It cannot argue with it, cannot dismiss it, cannot ignore it. Silence carries an authority beyond words. It is the language of power. So tonight I urge you, practice. Let it be your strength. Let it be your shield. Let it be your language. When others make noise, remain silent. When others argue, remain still. When others shout, let your silence speak loud. For in that silence you carry the greatest power of all. The power of knowing who you are. The power of vision. The power of creation. And remember this, silence is not emptiness, it is the presence of power. It is not the absence of voice, it is the voice of truth. It is not weakness, it is the greatest strength you will ever know. This, my friends, is the real truth. Silence is the language of power, and when you learn to speak it, the world will answer. 6. Silence trains the inner ear. My friends, tonight I invite you to enter more deeply into the mystery of silence. We have already seen that silence is the language of power. But now we must go further. For silence is not only a source of strength, it is the great trainer of the inner ear. What do I mean by the inner ear? It is not the ear of flesh. It is not the organ that hears the sounds of the outer world. The inner ear is that secret faculty within you, which hears the whispers of the unseen. It is the part of you that listens not to what is said in noise, but to what is revealed in silence. When the world is loud, the inner ear is drowned. You cannot hear its quiet voice amidst the constant clamor of opinions, arguments, and distractions. But when you enter silence, the inner ear begins to awaken. It grows sharper, clearer, more attentive. It begins to hear what others cannot hear, the quiet certainty of truth, the faint echo of the future calling you, the voice of creation itself. This is why silence is not merely restful. It is instructive. Silence is the great teacher. It trains your inner ear to recognize the voice of imagination, the whisper of faith, the soundless song of vision. Without silence, you hear only the world. In silence, you hear yourself. And in hearing yourself, you hear creation. Consider the musician. He must first train his outer ear. He listens to notes, to scales, to harmonies. But the true master hears music inwardly before ever playing it outwardly. His inner ear is trained to recognize the song before it is performed. That is why his music touches the soul. So too, your life is a song, and you are its composer. But if your inner ear is untrained, you cannot hear the melody of your own destiny. You are tossed about by the noise of the world, chasing its sounds, repeating its voicing. Yet when you enter silence, you begin to hear your own music, the unique song of your being. And once you hear it, you can bring it forth into the world. This is the secret. Silence trains the inner ear to hear the unseen, so that you may give it form in the seen. Now let me tell you something important. The inner ear does not shout. It does not demand. It whispers. It speaks softly, almost imperceptibly. That is why so many miss it. They are too busy listening to the noise of fear, of doubt, of the world's constant chatter. But when you enter silence, you tune your hearing to a finer frequency. You begin to notice the gentle nudges, the quiet impressions, the subtle tones of inner guidance. This is no small thing. Entire lives are shaped by the voices they listen to. If you listen only to the outer noise, your life will be shaped by others' opinions, by the world's doubts, by society's fears. But if you train your inner ear in silence, your life will be shaped by the whispers of truth, by the vision of your heart, by the certainty of your faith. Ask yourself this: whose voice have you been listening to? The noisy shouts of the world, or the quiet whisper of silence? If your life feels confused, scattered, uncertain, it may be because you have been listening to the wrong voice. Enter silence, and let the inner ear be trained anew. Let me illustrate. Imagine you desire a new beginning. Outwardly the world shouts, "It's impossible. You don't have enough. You're not ready." If you listen with the outer ear, you believe this noise. But in silence, the inner ear hears a different sound. It hears, "It is done. You are ready. It is yours." Now which voice will you follow? The trained inner ear always chooses the quiet certainty over the loud doubt. And here is the wonder. Once your inner ear is trained in silence, it begins to reshape the outer world. You hear yourself already living your new life. You hear the laughter of joy not yet experienced. You hear the words of success not yet spoken. You hear the music of victory not yet played. And because you hear it within, it must one day appear without. For what is heard in silence becomes seen in time. This is why the inner ear is the most precious faculty you can develop. It is the true receiver of destiny. The outer ear hears what is noise, facts, circumstances. The inner ear hears what will be possibility, creation, truth. And silence is the classroom in which this ear is trained. So let me give you a practice. Each day withdraw into silence, not merely to rest, but to listen. Let the outer noise fade. Let the world's chatter dissolve. And in that quiet, listen with your inner ear. At first, you may hear nothing. Do not be discouraged. The world has trained you to expect loudness. The inner ear is subtle, but with practice, you will begin to notice the faint impressions, the gentle words, the quiet visions, and the more you listen, the clearer they become. This is like tuning an instrument. At first the notes are off, unclear, but with patience you adjust, you refine, until at last the harmony emerges. So too with the inner ear, silence tunes it. Day by day you adjust, until it resonates with truth. And when it does, something wonderful happens. You begin to trust the inner sound more than the outer noise. You begin to live not by what the world says, but by what you have heard in silence. You no longer need constant reassurance, for the inner ear has heard the future, and it is certain. Think of the great pioneers, the visionaries, the creators. They all had this in common. They heard a sound within that no one else could hear. The world told them it was impossible. The noise was against them, but they had trained their inner ear in silence, and they trusted what they heard. And because they trusted it, they brought it into being. So too with you. The future you desire is already whispering to you. Can you hear it? It may be faint, almost drowned by the noise of today. But if you enter silence, if you train your inner ear, you will hear it clearly. And once you hear it, nothing can stop it from becoming real. My friends, this is the power of silence. It is not only peace, not only strength. It is training for your inner ear. It is the school of destiny, the place where you learn to hear the voice of creation. So tonight I urge you, go into silence, not merely to escape noise, but to awaken the inner ear. Train it to hear the whispers of truth. Train it to recognize the sound of your future. Train it to listen to the song of your destiny. And once you hear it, hold fast to it. For what you hear in silence will one day be heard by all. Remember, silence is the language of power. Yes, but more than this, silence is the teacher of your inner ear. And the one who has trained the inner ear is the one who creates the world. 7. The strength of unspoken vision. My friends, tonight we move deeper into the mystery of silence. We have seen that silence trains the inner ear. Now let us look at what happens once that ear is trained. It begins to hold vision, not vision in the sense of physical sight, but vision in the sense of creation. And this vision, when unspoken, carries immeasurable strength. Let me tell you plainly, not every dream is meant to be spoken at once. Not every vision is meant to be declared to the world the moment it arrives. There is a sacredness to vision that requires silence. For the seed of vision, like the seed of a tree, must be planted in quiet soil before it can rise into visible form. Have you noticed how easily words can weaken what is not yet formed? A dream too young, when exposed to the harsh air of doubt, withers. A vision too fresh, when shared with those who cannot see, is mocked and trampled. But the one who keeps silent, who treasures the vision inwardly, gives it space to grow in strength. This is the strength of unspoken vision. It matures in silence. It takes root in the unseen. It gathers power without interruption. Then when it is ready, it breaks forth into the world unstoppable. You may say, but is it wrong to speak of my dream? Not at all. There is a time to declare, a time to act boldly, a time to announce what you hold within. But first comes the silent time, the hidden time, the secret time when vision grows strong enough to withstand the winds of doubt. Speak too early and you give others power over what is yours. Keep silent and you preserve that power until the vision is unshakable. Think of a mother carrying life within her. She does not announce it the instant she conceives. The life must first root, form and grow unseen. Only when it is established, only when it is certain does the world behold it. Vision is the same. It is conceived in silence, nurtured in the womb of imagination, guarded by the strength of unspoken faith. So ask yourself, what vision have you been too quick to expose? What dream have you handed to others before it had strength to stand? And ask further, what vision lies within you now, waiting for the nourishment of silence? The truth is, the greatest visions are often laughed at when spoken too soon. The world cannot see what you see. It cannot hear what you hear. It is bound by its own limitation. So if you reveal your dream before it is strong, you invite doubt, ridicule, and resistance. But if you hold it unspoken, it grows in silence until it becomes undeniable. This is why silence is not weakness but wisdom. The unspoken vision is like a fire burning inwardly, gathering heat, gathering light, until at last it bursts forth, warming and illuminating all. Let me give you an example. Imagine you desire a new life, a new career, a new relationship, a new destiny. You see it clearly within, but outwardly, nothing yet matches. If you run to the world and announce it, they may laugh. That's impossible. You don't have what it takes. Look at your circumstances, and if you are not yet strong, their voices weaken your faith. But if you hold your vision silently, if you feed it with inner certainty, then no voice can touch it. It grows unchallenged until the day it manifests before all eyes. This is the power of the unspoken vision. It belongs only to you. No one can steal it. No one can weaken it. No one can destroy it unless you hand it to them by careless words. Now listen closely. Silence does not mean passivity. It does not mean inaction. Silence means guarding your vision from the premature judgment of others. It means feeding it inwardly, nurturing it with imagination, watering it with belief, until it becomes so real within you that the outer world cannot help but conform. The inner act is far more powerful than the outer declaration. For when you declare silently to yourself, when you affirm in silence, when you live inwardly in the vision, you give it roots, and once rooted, nothing can uproot it. This is why some people seem to move with quiet confidence. They do not boast. They do not shout. They do not seek constant reassurance. Why? Because they carry an unspoken vision within them, and that vision is their strength. On the other hand, those who announce loudly without inner conviction soon falter. They speak of great things, but when resistance comes, they collapse. Why? Because their vision had no silent roots. It was spoken before it was strong. So learn this wisdom. Speak inwardly before you speak outwardly. Hold in silence before you reveal in sound. Strengthen the vision within before you show it to the world. This is the way of true creation. And here is a practice. Tonight, take one vision you carry, perhaps of success, of freedom, of transformation. Instead of telling others, tell yourself in silence. See it clearly within. Hear it in the inner ear. Feel it as already done. Say nothing outwardly. Keep it sacred. Hold it unspoken, and watch as in silence it gains strength. For silence is the soil of vision. Every seed needs earth in which to grow. Hidden from sight, nourished in darkness. If you dig it up daily to show others, it cannot live. But if you let it rest in silence, it grows unseen, until the day comes when all can see its fruit. Remember this. What is unspoken is not weak. It is sacred. The strongest trees begin as seeds buried in silence. The mightiest rivers begin as hidden springs. The greatest lives begin as visions held inwardly. So if you carry a dream today, do not rush to display it. Protect it in silence. Let it draw strength from the unseen. Let it grow roots no storm can shake. Then when it is ready, it will reveal itself. And when it does, no voice of doubt will matter, for the vision will have already become reality within you. This is the true strength of the unspoken vision. It belongs to you untouched, unharmed, unbroken. It is your inner treasure, your sacred seed, your hidden fire. So tonight I tell you, honor your visions with silence. Hold them unspoken until they are ready. Nurture them in the quiet chambers of your imagination. And when at last they emerge, the world will not laugh. They will marvel. For the vision you held in silence will become the life you live in truth. And that, my friends, is the strength of the unspoken vision. 8. Silence is the shield of faith. My friends, let us journey further into the heart of silence. We have spoken of the unspoken vision, the strength it gathers in secret. Now we must see silence in another light, as a shield, a guardian, a protector of faith. For faith, though powerful, is tender in its beginnings, and silence, like a shield, protects it until it matures into unshakable certainty. Consider this: when you first ignite faith within yourself, it is like a flame newly lit. That flame is real yet fragile. It glows with possibility, yet it can be smothered if exposed too soon to the winds of doubt. But when you shelter that flame in silence, it burns brighter. It grows stronger. It learns to endure until it becomes a fire no storm can extinguish. Faith needs silence, not because it is weak, but because it is sacred. When you wrap your faith in silence, you keep it safe from the careless words of others, from the shadow of disbelief, from the intrusion of negativity. Silence is not absence. It is armor. It is the invisible shield that keeps your inner world intact, while the outer world lags behind. Have you noticed how quickly others judge what they cannot see? Speak of your faith too early, and you invite their doubt. Share your inner conviction with the wrong ears, and they may sow seeds of fear in your soil of hope. Not out of malice always, sometimes simply because they cannot see what you see, but their blindness can weigh upon your vision. Silence prevents that. Silence guards your faith against the echoes of the world. Think of silence as the high walls of a sacred temple. Within those walls, your faith is free to grow unharmed. Within those walls, your belief can deepen without distraction. And when the time is right, You step out from behind those walls with a faith that is tested, proven, and immovable. Let me tell you something profound. The world often honors results, but doubts process. People believe once they see, they cheer once success is visible. But before that, they question, they resist, they challenge. If you reveal your faith too early, they may weigh it down with disbelief. Yet if you shield it in silence, you protect it until it becomes evidence itself. Now faith is not blind hope. Faith is inner sight. It is seeing what is not yet visible, hearing what is not yet spoken, living what is not yet born. Such a sight is too delicate at first to be placed under the harsh gaze of those who cannot see. So silence becomes its shield. Silence allows faith to breathe, to expand, to claim its rightful place within you. Picture yourself as a gardener. You plant a seed of faith deep in the soil of your mind. If you dig it up every day to show others, the seed cannot grow. It needs silence. It needs darkness. It needs time beneath the surface where no eyes intrude. Then, when its roots are deep, it breaks forth in strength. The silence shielded it until it was ready for light. So it is with every act of faith. You shield it with silence until it is strong enough to stand in the open. Then, and only then, does it blossom before the eyes of all. But let us go deeper still. Silence does more than protect. It transforms. When you shield your faith with silence, you begin to dwell in it more fully. You are not distracted by the opinions of others. You are not swayed by the chorus of doubt. Instead, you return inward again and again, feeding the vision, reinforcing the belief, living from the unseen reality until it feels more real than what your eyes behold. This is the power of silence as the shield of faith. It allows you to live in the reality of your desire without interruption. It lets you nurture the unseen until it becomes unshakably real within. And once it is real within, it cannot be denied without. Think of the masters of any art. Do they announce their every practice, their every attempt, their every struggle? No, they practice in silence. They strengthen their craft in hidden places. They guard their growth from premature judgment. And when they emerge, they stand unmovable. Their skill undeniable. The same is true of faith. Shield it, strengthen it, and it will become unbreakable. Some of you may feel impatient. You may say, but I want others to know. I want to share my vision. I want to declare my faith. Yes, there is a time for that. There is a time to proclaim boldly, to walk openly, to live visibly. But first comes the shield. First comes the silence that guards what is sacred. The silence that allows faith to ripen. Without that shield, you expose your faith too soon and the winds of doubt may scatter it. So ask yourself, where in your life have you been careless with your faith? Where have you exposed it too early to eyes that could not see, to ears that could not hear, to hearts that could not believe? And now ask yourself, where do you need the shield of silence? Where must you guard your faith until it is strong enough to stand alone? My friends, I tell you this, silence is not weakness. Silence is power. Silence is not retreat. Silence is strategy. It is the wisdom of creation itself. For even creation began in silence, in darkness, before light broke forth. The unseen always precedes the seen. The hidden always precedes the revealed. Silence shields the process until the product shines forth. So tonight I invite you to practice. Take one desire, one vision, one seed of faith that you hold. Do not announce it. Do not expose it. Instead, cover it with silence. Hold it inwardly. Nurture it secretly. Live from it privately. Let silence shield it. And watch as in time it grows strong enough to manifest before all eyes. Then, when it appears, you will not need to argue, to explain, to defend. Your faith will have become fact. Your silence will have become sight. And the world will behold what you carried inwardly all along. This, my friends, is the secret strength of silence. It shields faith until faith becomes reality. It guards the unseen until the unseen is undeniable. It protects the fragile until it becomes unbreakable. So honor your faith with silence. Protect it as a treasure. Guard it as a flame. For when silence becomes your shield, faith becomes your victory. And when that day comes, you will stand unshakable. Not because you shouted your vision to the world, but because you shielded it long enough to let it grow. That is the gift of silence, the shield of faith. 9. Silence as creative power. My beloved friends, tonight we take yet another step into the mystery of silence, and we approach perhaps its most profound truth: silence as the very womb of creation. Understand this. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is fullness, a reservoir, the deep, fertile ground from which all creation springs. It is in silence that thoughts are conceived. It is in silence that visions are born. It is in silence that the invisible becomes visible, that the intangible becomes tangible, that the unrealized becomes real. The world believes creation happens in noise, in action, in visible movement. But true creation begins in silence. Noise is only the echo. Action is only the outflow. Silence is the origin. Think of the seed hidden in the soil. To the eye, it seems inactive, lost in stillness. But within that silence, the miracle of life is unfolding. Roots form, the seed breaks open, and a living thing begins to emerge. That hidden silence is the womb of creation. Without it, no tree, no flower, no fruit could exist. So it is with every desire, every dream, every possibility within you. When you retreat into silence, you step into the creative womb. There, away from the distraction of voices, you dare to imagine, you dare to feel, you dare to live in the unseen. In silence, you clothe your dream with life. You breathe breath into it. You see it, hear it, taste it, not with the outer senses, but with the inner ones. And in that silent imagining, creation begins. Do not mistake this silence for passivity. It is the most active state you can enter. For in silence, you hold the brush that paints upon the canvas of reality. In silence, you mold the clay of experience. In silence, you choose the form that life shall take. You may appear still, but in truth, you are shaping worlds. Let me remind you, all great movements of history began in the silence of one mind. A vision born in secret, an idea nurtured in solitude, a dream guarded in stillness. These became inventions, revolutions, masterpieces. The world applauds the result, but few see the silent hours in which creation truly occurred. So I say to you, if you wish to create, do not first seek noise, approval, or recognition. Seek silence. Enter the secret chamber of your own being. Close the doors of your senses. Turn away from appearances. And there, in that holy silence, begin to live the reality you desire. Now, what does it mean to live it in silence? It means to inhabit it inwardly, to let your imagination so flood your awareness that what you want becomes your present experience, though no eye yet sees it. In silence, you rehearse the reality until it becomes natural. In silence, you embody the state until it is second nature. And what you embody within silence will, in due time, appear without. For creation follows a law of that which is held persistently in the inner silence of imagination, must appear in the outer world of fact. The unseen precedes the seen, the inner precedes the outer, silence precedes expression. This is not theory, it is law. So silence is not only a shield, as we spoke before, it is the forge, it is the workshop, it is the divine space in which you become the craftsman of destiny. But hear me clearly, silence requires discipline. For many are afraid of silence. They fill it with chatter, with noise, with endless distraction. Why? Because silence confronts them with themselves. Silence strips away the masks. Silence reveals the raw clay of thought and belief. And yet that is the very power of silence. It gives you access to the raw material of creation. Do not flee from silence. Embrace it. Make it your ally. For in silence, you reclaim authorship over your life. You discover that you are not at the mercy of circumstances, but the maker of them. Consider this. Every word spoken begins in silence. Every song sung begins in silence. Every invention, every work of art, every discovery begins in silence. Silence is the mother of sound, the womb of creation. To ignore silence is to sever yourself from your creative source. But when you learn to value silence, when you learn to enter it with purpose, you will discover a power the world cannot comprehend. You will discover that silence is not emptiness, but fullness, not weakness, but strength, not absence, but presence. Let me offer you a practice. Tonight, when you are alone, sit quietly and enter silence. Turn inward. Bring before your mind's eye the desire of your heart. Do not plead for it. Do not beg. Simply see it, feel it, live in it. Hear the sounds that would be present if it were real. Taste the sweetness of its fulfillment. Touch the substance of its reality, and then rest in the silence, knowing it is done. That, my friends, is creation. That is the work of silence. You are not waiting for it. You are creating it. You are planting it in the silence of your being. And life must bring it forth. But I must warn you, silence demands trust. You may not see immediate results. The seed planted in the soil does not sprout the next day. It takes time. It takes patience. Yet the silence is doing its work. Just as roots grow unseen beneath the earth, so creation grows unseen in silence. But when the time is ripe, it bursts forth undeniable. So never doubt the silence. Never say, nothing is happening. Everything is happening. For silence is creation itself. And let me tell you something beautiful. The more you honor silence, the more creative power flows through you. You begin to move through life with quiet confidence. You are no longer shaken by appearances, for you know where appearances are born. You are no longer desperate for approval, for you know that all begins in silence. You are no longer afraid of lack, for you know that abundance begins in silence. This is the secret the world overlooks. Silence is the source. Silence is the creative power behind all manifestation. Silence is the womb of miracles. So I ask you tonight, will you honor silence? Will you enter it daily? Not as emptiness, but as fullness. Will you embrace it? Not as loneliness, but as creation. Will you use it? Not as escape, but as power. For if you do, your life will change. You will create with intention, not accident. You will shape with purpose, not confusion. You will call forth realities the world cannot yet see, and they will appear because you dared to create them in silence. So step into silence, not with fear, but with reverence. Step into silence, not with doubt, but with faith. Step into silence, not as a beggar, but as a creator. And in that silence, shape the life your heart longs for. For silence is not merely stillness. Silence is power. Silence is creation. Silence is the divine workshop where all things are made new. And when you learn to use silence as creative power, nothing shall be impossible to you. 10. Silence as union with the infinite. My friends, tonight we arrive at the culmination of our journey through silence. We have walked together through the power, the vision, the faith, the creativity of silence. We have seen it train the inner ear, shield the fragile, and bring forth the unspoken. And now, in this final step, we see the ultimate truth. Silence is union with the infinite. Understand this. The infinite is not distant. It is not elsewhere. It is not some unreachable realm beyond our grasp. The infinite is here within you as you are. It is not separate from your being, not separate from your desire, not separate from your life. And silence is the gateway by which you recognize, experience, and unite with it. The world tells you to seek externally, to chase, to struggle, to prove yourself. But all the while the infinite waits silently within, ever present, ever patient. And only through silence can you become aware of it. Only through stillness can you touch it. Only through quiet surrender can you merge with its boundless power. When you are silent, you are no longer distracted by appearances. You are no longer divided by opinions, fears, or doubts. You are no longer pulled outward by circumstance. In silence, you turn inward, and there you find a presence so vast, so complete, so undeniable. It is the infinite itself. Do not think of silence as mere absence of noise. It is not emptiness. It is fullness. It is a space where time, limitation, and struggle fall away. In silence, you realize you are not a fragment, not a separate entity struggling to exist, but a manifestation of the infinite, a living expression of limitless potential. Consider this. When you are still, when you are quiet, when you truly enter the depths of your being, you may feel a vastness, a presence, a knowing that cannot be explained in words. It is as if the universe itself breathes within you, and in that recognition you are not merely an observer, you are one with it. This is union with the infinite. Union with the infinite does not come through effort, through noise, through outward display. It comes through surrender. It comes through trust. It comes through the realization that you are not separate from the source of life, the source of power, the source of wisdom and love. In silence, you become aware that you have never been separate. Many seek happiness, fulfillment, success, and peace outside themselves, unaware that the infinite presence already dwells within. They struggle, they strive, they plead, only to meet limitation and frustration. But silence is the bridge to the infinite. In silence, you recognize that all you seek is already present. In silence, you dwell in eternity, not bound by circumstance. In silence, you claim the infinite as your own. Let me tell you something profound. The infinite speaks in silence. It does not shout. It does not demand. It does not force its way upon you. It whispers. It invites. It unfolds. And the one who enters silence becomes attuned to that whisper, becomes aligned with its rhythm, becomes a vessel through which it expresses in the world. Have you noticed how in moments of true quiet, guidance appears, ideas arise, inspiration flows, solutions emerge, and clarity is found? That is the infinite speaking in silence. That is the union at work. The more you cultivate silence, the more attuned you become. The more aligned you become, the more the infinite manifests through you. Now let us be clear. Union with the infinite does not mean you will be free from challenges. It does not mean life becomes easy or predictable. What it does mean is that you carry within yourself an unshakable presence, a certainty that no circumstance can disturb. In silence, you tap into a power and wisdom beyond measure. In silence, you find an inner sanctuary that cannot be breached by outer turmoil. This is the highest expression of all the steps we have walked together. Silence is power, silence is vision, silence is faith, silence is creativity. All culminate in this moment of union. You are no longer just a human being struggling with circumstances. You are a conscious participant in the infinite, co-creating, manifesting, living with eternal guidance. Let me guide you in practice. Tonight, when you sit in silence, do not seek to do, to prove, or to gain. Simply enter the stillness. Breathe. Allow all distractions to fall away. Turn your attention inward and recognize the infinite presence within. Feel it. Sense it. Know it as your own. There is no need for words. There is no need for visualization. Simply be. And in that being, you are united with the infinite. And here is the beauty. Once you have touched this union, it cannot be undone. It is a seed planted deep within your consciousness. Even when outer noise returns, even when circumstances challenge you, even when doubt arises, the memory of union remains. And that memory is power. That memory is guidance. That memory is certainty. Do not underestimate the subtlety of this union. The infinite does not operate through spectacle, through coercion, or through loud display. It operates through quiet alignment, through inner knowing, through effortless flow. And the more you inhabit silence, the more you allow yourself to be a clear channel for this limitless presence. The world will continue to demand noise, attention, and struggle. The world will continue to test, to challenge, to distract. But if you have learned silence, you have learned the ultimate art of living, the art of union with the infinite. And from that union, all things are possible. So I urge you, carry silence into your daily life, not as absence, but as presence, not as withdrawal, but as power, not as weakness, but as the supreme strength. Let it be the source from which all your thoughts, actions, visions, and beliefs arise. Let it be the sanctuary in which you renew your connection to the infinite, and let it be the foundation of every creation you bring into the world. And remember, you are not alone. You are never separate. The infinite presence is within you now, at this moment. The silent power of creation, the unspoken strength of vision, the unshakable certainty of faith. All of this is available to you in the stillness. You need only enter it, claim it, live in it, and allow it to flow through you. As we close tonight, take this truth with you. Silence is not absence. Silence is union. Silence is the voice of the infinite. Silence is the source from which your greatest power, your highest vision, your deepest peace, and your most radiant life emerge. And when you embrace it fully, you step into a reality where nothing is impossible, where the unseen becomes seen, and where your life reflects the eternal, unbounded and limitless presence within. My friends, you have learned the steps, you have walked the path, you have seen the power, the vision, the faith, the creativity, and finally the infinite union. Now go forth and live it. Enter silence daily, and let it transform you, let it guide you, let it make you one with the infinite. For in silence you are not separate. In silence you are complete. In silence you are infinite. This is the ultimate truth of being. This is the real power of silence. This is your birthright. Embrace it, live it, and allow the infinite to flow through you now and forevermore.